The conclusion is at the very end, right? Thus, D must have fed on plants on or near the ground or underwater. So we know that this dinosaur's neck could bend low, but it could not bend high. I had a little trouble visualizing that, but I was like, okay, whatever. Is there something about this conclusion that irked you? There should be a word that...
Even though it could, does it
Must have?
had to happen?
Yeah, the had to, the must have, right? I was like, sure, yeah, must have. Yep, must have done it. It could have, so it must have. Those sort of things should piss you off because the conclusion is supposedly something that's proven by the evidence, and this is hardly proven. It just seems like if they had said, thus, the dinosaur could or might have, then I'd be like, yeah. Even then, I'd be a little skeptical, like, could they have? Like, your neck can bend down there, but maybe you don't want to or you're scared, so you never do. I don't know. Anyways, my prediction was maybe they eat plants in the middle. They can't go up high, they can go low, but it doesn't mean they have to. Maybe they go in the middle.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Is that what you thought? Yeah. So then it's like, okay, necessary assumption. What are we asking ourselves as we read? Yeah.
If necessary assumption questions mean that it has to be true for their conclusion to be true.
Yes, has to be true for their conclusion to be true.
Then if they're eating something in the middle,
Yep.
doesn't that go against their conclusion that they're eating things that are...
Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't my prediction. It was my, this is what I don't, like, sure, this is what you concluded, but what about this? So then the necessary assumption would be something like dinosaurs don't eat in the middle.
Okay.
You have to assume that, right? Because if you're going to say that they must have fed on or near the ground,
Right.
then you must be assuming that they didn't eat in the middle. Yep. All right. The correct answer. Correct answer is not what I would have thought, but they went so far as to provide a little illustration too. Anyways, let's just jump to that. D. The dinosaur had no other way of accessing high-growing vegetation. Not my prediction, but yeah, they couldn't have had any other way. If they had some other way, then maybe they did, and thus the conclusion is false, right? I just like how they went a little bit further. Such as by rising up on its hind legs. You're like, oh, thank you for illustrating. Yeah, maybe they did it that way. Oh, dinosaurs. Dead. Okay. So, other answers that were tempting here?
I put B.
B. Okay, let's talk about it. D was not able to see in front of itself unless its head was angled steeply downward.
Because I was talking, remember I said like they couldn't, like what about the middle?
Sure.
That's why I thought maybe that was it.
Well, wait. The problem with B, though, is it's talking about seeing, right? Like, you could see, like, let's negate this. Let's negate it and say, hey, the dinosaur was able to see in front of itself, regardless of whether its head was wherever it was facing.
Yeah, so
Does that mean it would eat?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, right? You could be like,
Got it.
They like to provide illustrations in this question. Other answers that were tempting? E. D was not able to browse for underwater vegetation by kneeling beside bodies of water or by walking into them. Oh. Well, this...
I think it's like the reverse of D.
This, like, hurts the conclusion, right? So, because this is going against the conclusion, the question you're asking yourself is, does the author have to be assuming this, or does the author have to be thinking this? And the author is probably not thinking this. The author is probably thinking the opposite. The dinosaur was able to browse for underwater vegetation by kneeling beside a body of water or by walking into them. Even then, I don't know if we need to get that specific. How exactly did they get that? As long as they got the food, we don't necessarily care whether they kneeled or walked into the water or just stood there and put their head down. Jay, how do you feel about that?
I like predicted that like the assumption was that like having a long neck necessitated like it
Required you to go
underwater. That's not right. Right? What was your prediction again? That they ate middle?
Well, my prediction was that they my problem with the argument was, oh, maybe they ate in the middle. So a necessary assumption would be, this argument assumes that they did not eat in the middle, or they did not have some other way to eat up high. That's the same thing. I think your assumption that they had to be able to eat underwater seems fair enough, but answer choice E is actually saying the opposite. They weren't able to.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, any other questions on this one? Okay.